Because we're loving people. We're loving and we're compassionate. We open our arms. Here's something that the justice system does like to open their arms to. And certainly their law books were talking about smoking. Yesterday, a Quebec judge certified a pair of class action lawsuits. That means 3 tobacco companies are going to trial with billions and billions of dollars at stake. The significant thing here is that it's in Quebec. I think kids come out of the womb with a pack of De Maurier in their mouth in Quebec. But obviously it's worth talking about today because of that. So you have people who like to think it's evil. I have a significant problem with smoking, but whatever. And then there's people like Max Fawcett. He's a smoker who thinks the anti-smoking movement has gone too far. He's also a writer for the Dooney's Cafe website. Hello, Mr. Fawcett. Thank you very much. Max, how are you?
George, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get into it. You think the anti-smoking movement's gone too far? How so?
Well, I don't have a problem with, telling kids that smoking's bad because it is, and telling people that it's stupid because it is. I admit that. But I guess I have a problem when they lose sight of what the objective is, which is to prevent new smokers and get existing smokers to quit. And they've sort of taken a puritanical tack on it. Like in Ottawa where I live, you can't have a smoking room. You can't basically smoke anywhere outside anymore. And it just seems like they're going a little too far, a little too fast.
Now, on a personal note, and I don't know how long you've been smoking, when I leave a building and I walk outside and there's 75 people outside having a cigarette, and I walk into that, I feel like I'm walking into a Jimi Hendrix concert. Unfortunately, it's all tobacco. Then it drives me crazy. Why wouldn't the anti-smoking movement have the right to marginalize those people for putting us through that?
Well, but I guess the question that I would pose back to you is they used to smoke inside, and then the anti-smoking movement had them outside. So it's just it keeps going and it keeps going. Where do you want them to go? I mean, I guess all of us smokers could go to an island like they used to do with the lepers. But I mean, at a certain point, we do have rights as well as non-smokers. You have the right not to smell the crappy stuff that's coming out of our mouths, but we have the right to put it in our lungs.
Yeah, but I mean, smokers' rights are kind of a weird thing because it's a habit more than who you are, isn't it?
It is a habit. There's no question that that's part of it. There's a chemical addiction. Anyone who smoked can attest to that. But the thing that people lose sight of is the fact that smoking is actually pretty fun. And you ask any smoker who, get them to be honest, and they like smoking. They like the taste of it. They like the smell. They like the experience. Until
they see the X-rays from the doctor, then it's not so fun anymore.
Well, I mean, we're all going to die of the flu apparently. So what's the big deal, eh?
Well, actually, you raise a very valid point there. No, it is fun, sure, but that's because we're conditioned. Everybody's conditioned to believe this stuff should be hanging out the bottom lip, right?
I don't know that we're conditioned, certainly not my generation, and I think I would include you in that. I mean, I grew up in school. I actually, terrible admission here, I didn't smoke until I was 21. So I didn't fall into that sort of, 13, 14, start smoking because it was cool. We all thought the kids who smoked were idiots. So I don't think that it's a generational thing where we've all sort of been brainwashed to look like James Dean with a cigarette hanging out our mouth. I mean, we've been, I would argue, brainwashed in the other direction to think that that's a terribly ridiculous thing to do.
But when you wrote that out, the Why I Smoke thing, I mean, the first line in that talked about how you grew up being exposed to the socializing effects of that. That's got to have an impact.
There's no question that, both my parents smoked, and I picked that up a little bit. But, it's not purely just, oh, well, my parents smoked, I should too, because if it was, I would have done it when I was 12. I did it, I can't even remember why I started it. It had to do something with politics and the social scene, and it looked really cool. But, I think there are a lot of parents out there who smoke and their kids don't. I think there are a lot of parents who don't smoke and their kids do. I just don't see that there's a real strong correlation there. And I think at the end of the day, we're all big enough to make our own choices, and a lot of people do actually choose, as hard as it is to believe, to smoke.
Max, listen, I care for you, man, and I know you do have your rights, and I just want to say, do what you got to do if it works, but just be careful, be healthy, okay?
Oh, I'll do my best.
Oh my God, I'm worried about that. There you go. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, George.
All right, so a big discussion, right? Smoking. I'm sure it'll carry on. Smoking, cool. People thought that was cool, and for a while, people stopped smoking cigarettes, started smoking cigars, because cigars were totally cool. People want to smoke pipes, but you just look like a moron in the streetcar with a pipe, but whatever. But what is the new cigar? What is the new cigarette? It's wine. Because of Paul Giamatti's. Jian Ghomeshi comes by to talk about winosexuals. Oh, my God, and truthfully, we have the last word. I hope to God it's the last word on Brad and Jen.